Para recibir traducción desde Windows y Mac en los iconos de control de la reunión, hacemos clic en Interpretación, clic en Español y opcional para escuchar solo el español, clic en Silenciar audio original. De Android y iOS, en los tres puntitos hacemos clic en Interpretación de idiomas, clic en Español y opcional tocamos el interruptor para silenciar el audio original y hacemos clic en Finalizado.
Per ascoltare la traduzione linguistica da computer, cercate in basso a destra il simbolo del globo e cliccate su Traduzione. Poi cliccate su Italiano. Facoltativo, per ascoltare solo la traduzione, fare clic su Disattiva audio originale. Da cellulare, nei comandi della riunione toccare Altro, toccare Traduzione linguistica, toccare Italiano, facoltativo, toccare Disattiva audio originale, fare clic su Fatta.
Pentru traducere, dacă sunteți pe calculator sau pe laptop, apăsați simbolul de glob și selectați limba română. Dacă sunteți pe telefon sau pe tabletă, apăsați cele 3 puncte, selectați Language Interpretation, limba română și încheiați cu Done. Dacă doriți să auziți doar traducerea în limba română, bifați butonul Mute Original Sound. Mulțumesc!
Kaikille. Jotta voit kuunnella käännöstä, valitsethan kännykällä 3 pistettä ja sieltä löytyy Interpretation ja Finish. Jos käytät tietokonetta, valitsethan sieltä maapallon ja sieltä löydät kielen Finish. Kiitos.
Za laptop, kompjutere pritisnite globus i onda odaberite Western Balkan, mutirajte originalni zvuk i stisnite Dan. Za mobilne telefone i iOS sisteme pritisnite 3 tačke, odaberite Western Balkan, mutirajte originalni zvuk i sve to potvrdite. Om Shanti.
भाषा अनुवाद सुनने के लिए विंडोज़ और मैकिंटोश आपकी मीटिंग कंट्रोल में पृथ्वी यानी कि ग्लोब्स के साइन पर क्लिक करें। हिंदी पर क्लिक करें। सिर्फ हिंदी सुनने के लिए म्यूट ओरिजिनल ऑडियो पर क्लिक करें। एंड्रॉयड और आईओएस के लिए मीटिंग कंट्रोल में मोर पर क्लिक करें। लैंग्वेज इंटरप्रिटेशन पर क्लिक करें। हिंदी पर टैप करें। डन पर क्लिक करें।
Great. Can I be heard now? Does this sound okay? Okay, good. Silence retreat, you see, so, you know. So, power of silence. And I'd like to share a couple of reflective quotes. And Rumi has spoken beautifully on this subject many times. And one sentence, he says, listen to silence. It has so much to say. So beautifully put. And upon that value of silence, Gandhi says, speak only if it improves upon the silence. So some nice food for thought. And I hope today we'll understand the depth of the context of what silence means when referred to in the philosophy. So looking forward to these discussions and also experiencing first and foremost this true silence. So welcome, and handing over to Prashant.
Thank you, and very welcome, very nice to connect again, meet again. And I'm sure you all had a very good last few weeks. Let us create another minute of silence. And in this silence has value for us if there is light within that silence, light of truth. Otherwise, silence is there in the world. But emphasis is slightly different. So we take this opportunity of silence to come in that reality of truth. It happens to be the world of silence. We are aware of the story, drama, we are aware of it. The commotion and the sound in that story. But we choose to be in that introspection, stepping back. Greater happiness is because of truth. Because when one is in truth, there is future, there is progress. There is answer. Thank you. I'll read a few lines from the Murli of 1969. And some of these areas, they are very relevant for us all the time. Those who are familiar with this, the original date is 26th of June 69. So in this Murli, Baba is the father, Baba is the teacher, and Baba is the guru of the souls. So Baba is asking, in his form as a guru, what is he seeing? As a father, he is seeing the children. As a teacher, he is seeing the students. But as a guru, whom is he seeing? And Baba says, those who follow, those who are following and those who are going to follow. He sees both. And Baba asks next question, what is the main thing you need to follow? To come to the context, Guru is a highest relationship. Guru has got secrets, and in tradition, Guru doesn't take many disciples. A teacher may have many students, maybe hundreds of students, teacher. But Guru takes very few students, disciples, and they need to have the right qualification, means they should have certain standard, certain background, and their motives that is checked, because they are going to receive big secrets and they can use it for a wrong cause. So their ethics and their morality is checked before they are accepted as a disciple. So here Baba as a guru, so it is the highest relationship. And within that, Baba says, what is it that you have to follow as a guru? So there were different answers, and Baba keeps asking, what is it that you have to follow? So someone said, remembrance, yoga, and Baba is asking, even remembrance of God is a means. Why are you taught even to remember God? So different answers. And then Baba comes back again. You are taught pilgrimage of remembrance. Why? Even that pilgrimage, why are you taught the pilgrimage of remembering God? And then Baba's answer, in the form of the Guru, the main thing you have to follow is to become bodiless, egoless, and be completely detached. Pilgrimage of remembrance is taught so that whilst being in the physical sakar, you can be incorporeal and you can become bodiless and for you to become detached. When you become bodiless and completely detached, then you can return home with the Guru. So here we are getting a real insight. What is the main thing? Why are we here? And what is the essence we are studying? This is what that passage is telling us. What is the essence? And the essence of the whole knowledge is to be bodiless, egoless, then to be completely detached. Why is this the big essence? Because at present, our situation is the souls are caught in the web, in different levels, and they may not even know that they are caught in the web. So we become and think we are, the body, and ego is ruling the life. And that is why the answer to this situation is to become free from this web. Various things are taught, knowledge and disciplines, lifestyle, all the structure is to support this process of becoming free. So I will be using drawing some of the sketches quickly to remind us things that we have already discussed and something maybe relevant, important for us. Some of these images will help us practice. So quickly reorienting ourselves. So we said if we have to take a photograph of our mind, if you use your selfie that can take photograph of the mind, photograph of the soul, you might see photograph where there are something, it might look something like this, where there are many I, different ego there. Ego based on body is just one of them, many ego. Our social ego can be much bigger in our present world. So ego based on, your job may be even bigger. Or someone else may have ego based that his neighbor is a celebrity. All this is going on. And in the middle of this, the soul consciousness has become smaller and smaller. We start from a position like this, and our aim is to achieve this. You remember the sketch. This represents bodiless, egoless, completely detached. It just means he's sensible. He understands, he's different to the story. that is represented by this image. As time progressed, we are in a culture where the ego and bodily identification, that has become just norm completely bizarre, but it appears completely normal. And so people have no choice but start feeding their ego. One of our mentality, all countries, all over the place, crowd can never be wrong. Crowd is always right. This is our thinking. So if everyone around you is seeing you as a body, seeing you by the job, they can never be wrong. So here you need to first understand crowd is wrong. Everyone, your people whom your teachers, and your parliamentarians and everyone around you, they all are in this hypnosis. They are under a spell. And so in this situation, we have to start breaking the spell. The reason we want this power of silence, so that we can break the spell for the world. This is the first thing. And then you are able to understand, okay, now this, I exist as a soul here, as a point. And you are starting to create this soul awareness. Then it is growing here. So this is a very nice visual representation of what is happening inside. Every second, minute, accurately, you are coming to the soul awareness, ego will become smaller and smaller. You are winning. When this attention is not there, it is straight we are in the ego. There is no United Nations peace zone in between. Either you are in the soul awareness or you are in the ego. And if ego is the king, it will definitely get bigger also. In one Murli Baba gave the image, these trees, no one is watering them, no one is even taking care, or they are there, but they get bigger. They take some water, air somewhere, and that's enough. They are getting bigger. In the same way, the ego within us, they keep getting bigger. You don't need someone to praise you all the time to make the ego bigger. It will find something. If it remains the king. So we have to shift that regime. Happy if you want to say anything, feel free to type your comments, questions, and we'll take that also as we go along. But it will be nice to hear some thoughts. Anything, Sarah, want to add?
I was just thinking, if only the ego were to get bigger as slowly as trees do. And no other comments from here, and maybe in a few moments we'll have more in the chat.
Yes, nice. So let us create in a few minutes of attention right now. Our aim is that to gather that momentum of coming in that accuracy. All of this is made easy if we first use the best side In the best side, we are at least able to see the soul and understand this soul is the main thing. Soul is the guest in this world. And being a guest, he owns nothing in this world and he can lose nothing. Our attention is on the invisible soul. Completely new thing for the world, because the whole focus has been without the sight, not even using the sight. So we are just seeing the physical world day in and day out. So now if we use the sight, spiritual sight, we are seeing this invisible soul. That's when we call it is the invisible guest. And he is the invisible observer of this whole world, physical world. He has his own world beyond. Invisible soul is completely different to the physical world. Completely different to the body and the role. Thank you. In this journey, our process of bringing about change, Baba uses the word man manabhav. Literally, what it means, give your mind to God. Man is mind, mana to me, bhava is offer. The reason at present the mind is offered to Ravan. Mind is offered to 10 heads of Ravan. Mind is such a strategic thing. If the mind is used by Ravan, as was said, Ravan will continue to get bigger. These are the different ego. They will continue to get bigger. So it is like a cabinet. If an enemy wants to come, he will first want to get control of the government house. So here, mind is very central. So to stop Ravan using the mind, Baba says, give the mind to God. This is what our spiritual effort is. Okay, my intention is there to give mind to God. Sure. So how do I do that? Then Baba says, okay, you're given the mind to God. Then use it the way I tell you. So use it to think of knowledge. Keep the mind busy. Idle mind is a devil's workshop. So you are having a program and you may experiment with this maybe for 1 hour like this. Create this time when you say, I am having a program for this mind. And Ravan cannot use it in between. However innocent the thoughts may appear, just ordinary thoughts about people and situations, they are thoughts that support 10 heads of Ravan. nothing is innocent there. So-called waste thoughts, they are nourishment there. So don't take them lightly. But mind is an amazing thing. We want to use it for something more precious. But at the moment, we are going for this program to stop the supplies of Ravan. So Baba says, use the mind, keep the mind busy with different things. One time it may be think of knowledge, churn knowledge, discuss knowledge. So right now we are trying to understand this. Mind is busy. Mind is busy with knowledge. You are reading some knowledge. You are reflecting on it. You are talking about it. During that time, Ravan cannot come in. And this churning of knowledge will definitely be a nourishment for the angel. So knowledge, this is one simple thing we can do. And it is meditation. Another time, remember God directly in whatever form you can. To start whatever, it will only get refined further. So take your thoughts to God. So remember that is this department, remembrance. Another time you are practicing soul consciousness in whatever way. In first day, it may not be 100% perfect, but you are starting. We have to start where we are. We are practicing soul consciousness. You might see yourself as a guest. Another time you are seeing yourself as a trustee. Different images Baba is using. Literally practice for 1 minute that the soul is a trustee of the body, trustee of the family, trustee of all bank money, gold, trustee. Soul says not one atom can belong to me. Whole lot. Land, job, whatever is there, they are trustee. Soul is not from here. Experiment with it for 1 minute or 5 minutes. Try and get a feel of it. All of these go fully. It may be for 1 minute or 10 minutes, but experience it fully. Go in the depth. In silence. As we said, silence, but in the silence we want to make it rich. Not otherwise, silence is also used by Ravan, if that attention is not there. Another time, Baba says, spin the cycle. See the different ages that are going on. But even though you are seeing the cycle, it is Swa-darshan. Swa-darshan chakra. Swa. And Swa is self. So you are seeing the soul in the journey, in the drama. Different aspects. Just you take a Murli, the passage of the Murli, and read it. That is positive. Keeping the mind busy with Ram. That is what you are doing. That is Manmanava. As Ravan becomes smaller, then many other things open up. So this is our ongoing program to keep the mind busy with Ram. Confluence age is this. We have to be cautious. If the mind is idle, it becomes the devil's workshop. Idle mind is the devil's workshop. So we want to keep the mind busy with Ram. This is a life of a Brahmin. Inside. It is, we are talking this time about mind, but same thing applies to your time, about your body, wealth, every aspect. If you are keeping it busy, if you keep it idle, Ravan will use it. Use it for Ram, then Ravan cannot use it. Either your Ravan or someone else's Ravan will use your time, your wealth, your body. Keep it actively engaged with Ram in different ways. But as was said, our emphasis today is on Man Manabro. One time, Baba asked, what is the difference between yogi and one who practices yoga? We all have heard this, but it is nice to be reminded of this. What's the difference between yogi and one who practices yoga? And you want to answer? Let us see who remembers. Or what do you think is the answer? Is there what is the difference between yogi? Both are physical, are not hatha yogi. They are Raj yogis. They listen to Murlis. So what's the difference between yogi?
A yogi lives there and visits here, and yogi stays in Paradam and comes into the body to act.
Yeah, good, very good. So we saw that in this nice image that we remember. Very useful image for us. This is a so what has happened, our situation is we are in this physical world at present and have become Brahmins. That is good. We understand knowledge and we want to practice meditation properly. So what Baba says, yogi is the one who lives there, who says, I am from here, I am from that supreme home. He lives there and he has come to the physical world. He has come as a guest. He sees himself as a guest. Right now, he may be here for 100 years. He says, I'm a guest. 5 minutes or 100 years. If you are a guest, you are a guest. Someone says, 5 minutes, it is easy, I'm a guest. 100 years, how am I a guest after 100 years? If you have an exit, you are a guest. Sometimes people can be deceived even after 5 minutes. They might forget that they have an exit and they are deceived. So instead of 5 minutes, it becomes 6 minutes. The reality doesn't change. You are a guest. If you have an exit, you are not from here. So yogi knows he has a home. Why should he start thinking he is from here? And it needs ignorance to forget all this. So yogi knows who he is. If he is being of light, he sees himself like that. And as we said, he's a trustee at most over here for everything. He needs nothing. He knows anytime he can have a return. He has to go back. Happy coming, happy going. That is yogi. Bhogi has completely forgotten that world, completely lost in this world, and he has no intention even to change. Then that is bhogi. Bhogi is one who indulges in pleasures. That is another word. But one who practices yoga, Baba says, he thinks he is from here. He thinks he is the body. I'm Mr. Freddy. And for 5 minutes, he's having remembrance of the home. So he thinks he's here, he's from here, and he goes there for 5 minutes. He plays meditation music and he goes to the home. 5 minutes finished, he comes back. He practices that so that will help his blood pressure here, that will improve his relationships. That way he will help, the job will be better. For him, this drama is more important. That is where he's based. But he still practices. It is different to a bhogi. Bhogi doesn't even want to know anything about soul. All he wants to know is next pleasure. That is bhogi. But one who practices yoga is saying, I have to remember my home. But that is 5 minutes. But a yogi is the one who has woken up and who knows, who lives in the truth. Our aim is not just to have yoga, the aim is to be the yogi. Destination is to be the yogi, to wake up. And then the awake soul feels, it is so obvious, he is from that world, he is not from here. Everything becomes natural for the one who is awake. To practice yoga is a necessary step, but that is not a destination. Because we start from that box, so that is a step. But to know you want to say anything?
Sure, there are going to be some very nice reflections on this. Meanwhile, some nice questions so far. Just when you were talking about the map of the mind, are our ideas and beliefs our ego? Any comments on that?
Ideas, beliefs are?
Are they our ego or coming from our ego ordinarily?
There can be ideas and beliefs, but we can create ego based on them. There are many ideas in this world of all kinds, and I can listen to them, and they are nice ideas. I might even like to entertain them. There are ideas in science and physics and different ideas in politics. But if I create an ego based on them, then I will be as if, stubborn, and I'll take the offense if someone doesn't agree with these ideas. Yeah, I can get into that.
So in a way you're saying they're neutral, but it's the ego based upon them.
Ego can be based, yeah.
Yeah.
But there may be one aspect in the question, and the ideas may be right or wrong. That is another department. I may hear some ideas, about science, but that idea may be wrong also. And so also in spiritual world, there are many ideas. They may be right, they may be wrong.
Thank you. Another question. Is it possible for elements of the material world to help us get closer to Ram in the same way that knowledge does? For example, music, movement, nature, as forms of meditation.
Your sound, first sentence, do you want to repeat?
Is it possible for elements of the material world to help us get closer to Ram?
To come closer to Ram. Only thing that will help us come closer to Ram is my intention. I want to come closer to Ram. I want to come into the truth, and I need that. There has to be intention. And the wisdom that helps. It is like that promotes the process, understanding knowledge, environment of knowledge that helps. Elements can help me only by giving pain. The matter, the world of matter, its role is final. If I don't learn it through wisdom, eventually the elements come to give me a message through pain.
Thank you. And something to reflect on there. I would like to know this practice. You said it's a necessary step to practice yoga, but then it's not the destination. The soul who, when awake, is the yogi, is experiencing his true reality. It would be interesting to know what is happening in that second step, if you like, from being the bogey to the yogi,
Yes.
that facilitates that awakening.
Yes. Yes, what is happening is it becomes an ego-based effort, and which we cannot bypass because our starting position is we are body conscious and there is ego. So there are most of the ego, they were bogey. So now within that there is some still it is ego, because the soul consciousness we are learning, but there is interest to know. So one ego has spiritual interest. That's the great news, and he is understanding, trying to understand this. So that is the shift from bogey to the step when he is practicing yoga. But that is not a destination, because if we just stay at that level, that new kind of ego that is becoming bigger, and we are still in the same camp. That new ego that will have its own Ravan manifestations. In time, all these other ego will also get bigger. So it is good. It sort of starts the process, but we have to use it as a springboard and very quickly get the soul become conscious. It is nice. Nice. The question was relevant, very useful. Now let us create, if there is any more question, otherwise we'll create some more time for practice.
No more questions right now.
Right, excellent. Now let us create all this creates a momentum for us. Create a few minutes of attention, concentration, practice. First thing, we are trying to understand what is happening. This is like if a doctor was to come, he needs no diagnosis. And then we can use the right treatment for it. So what is the diagnosis? What is happening at the present time to the human soul, individual or global? We are seeing that human soul is like an invisible prince. He is from the family of King of Kings. And this is not a metaphoric. This is like the reality. If someone was to come with some spiritual, eternal surgeon, his diagnosis will be this, his verdict. Here is an invisible prince who is caught in a web. This whole physical world has become a web. He's caught in the web. He has become unconscious. So he doesn't even know that he exists even. And his enemy, that is ego and Ravan, 10-headed Ravan, is representing him. It is a bit like identity theft that happens these days. In the same way here, the prince has become unconscious and his enemy is the worst enemy, is using his identity and is a robber, representing him, the demon. So we are seeing quite a situation. And this is our story. So what is the answer to this situation? Answer is also very effective. Answer is light of knowledge. Why it is effective? Because this enemy, the 10-headed monster, he becomes unconscious in the light. He is a king in darkness. We understand this secret. And this is what Baba's secret is. Baba can see guaranteed victory, global, not just individual, global. You can free all the souls from this web and from Ravan, because all that is required is the light of knowledge. If the light is clear, in that full clarity, Ravan disappears. Not even just becomes unconscious, disappears. Just as when you understand clearly this is a story and temporary thing, to create ego there appears so absurd. To create attachments there appears so absurd. Only when there is a childishness, you create attachments in that temporary world. You create light, then there is no attachment, no ego, no vices. So all this Ravan is a sign of ignorance is still there. So now we understand the game. And now we understand what we are doing here, why we are here. The word used is yoga, meditation, power of silence, but we want to use this. In this silence, we want to use the light. The cave, we bring this light of knowledge. When we use the word paras just means you give yourself permission to see in 100% light, 100% truth. It is almost like using glasses and you see things differently, clearly, the way God sees. And never hesitate in this. God wants us to use this, because with that there is victory. So we use paras, and in first second, the physical world becomes a small story. Paras means that it has become so obvious, which means what happened today happened in a story. And everything that happened in the past, it is in a story. Right now, Prashant is talking, that is happening in a story. And we really mean it is a story. It is no different to any other story. Harry Potter is also a story. Mickey Mouse is also a story. No one complains about Mickey Mouse story. No one creates attachments in a story. Even children don't create attachments or ego in a story. Instantly, you are seeing this Ravan disappearing. Just one word, you understood this is the story, and you feel it is irrelevant to create attachments in it and to be obsessed about it. It can be sophisticated story, but it is a story. With Paras now, we can see the world beyond the story. What an amazing thing. Until then, we are not even aware of it. We are as if drowning in that story. Now we are able to see beyond. And beyond the story is reality. Story is a fiction. Beyond is the real world. Here there is the true family and the true home. They are all different. They are not like the story characters. And it's just like Mickey Mouse story. In the real world, they will not be like Mickey Mouse. They will be different. So we use the word alokik, unearthly. Souls. They are beings of light. And they are immortal. This world is eternal. All we have done is use Paras, and it is like winning a lottery. You are seeing this dimension where there is immortality. Where there is the true home and there is true Father. For the one who uses Paras, this is not a meditation. He is just seeing what is normal and natural. He's seeing his home. World of light, and in this environment of Paras, he sees himself. He sees the true self. He sees the true family, true home, true treasures, true Father, and the true self. What a thing! So all this time, he was not even seeing any of these things. He was just thinking and worrying about this Mickey Mouse. That is the biggest success of Maya and spell of ignorance. So we are now seeing what ignorance, what it means. And we are seeing the full map. In this environment of Paras, the true self wakes up. And that is a big milestone. Invisible prince, as if he wakes up. And for the soul that is conscious, it is normal to be that presence, invisible presence. Incorporeal is normal. For him, the immortality is normal. To belong to that sky is normal. To be independent, completely separate from the story is normal. He finds it strange that anyone can be part of a story. Just like you don't feel you can be part of Harry Potter or Mickey Mouse. So also the soul that is conscious he understands his independence from the story, independence from Prashant. Because Prashant is part of the story. And the soul is not extension of Prashant. Each one of us see this. There is a part, role. In ignorance, that was I. Big ego was created around that role. So when we bring Paras, we see that is just one little temporary role in a little story. And there are so many other roles. And when you are seeing, it is just a role, nothing to do with I. The true self is completely separate. True self is the observer of this story, but also observer of his sky. He has got his big world. His world is celebration, because this is the home of the family, father, true family, true father. Constant celebration is the region of happiness and love, because in this region there is no Ravan. It is a Ravan-free world. It means a lot. But no Ravan means there is no Ravan vibration. Ravan vibration is constantly is needing something, he has desires, he is potential victim or a beggar, something to compare and compete. All is different, anxiety sometimes and disappointment sometimes. In this supreme region, everyone is happy and immortal and free from desires and needs. They are beings of love and lovely, innocent, good, authentic. Each one is childlike and godlike. Authentic in virtue. In Ravan's world, the people may like to pretend to be a little bit better than what they are. Whereas here, no one wants to pretend, but they're silently embodiments of virtue. They're silent, but they're godlike. Inside out, they are clean, because it is a Ravan-free world. Everyone is immortal and safe, secure, beyond harm. And this is forever. We are just seeing this dimension, this reality. In this world is the Supreme Father. At this level, all are like points, stars, and that appears normal, alokik. This reality is like presence, subtle. So also Father, one who is like incorporate the presence, but one who is always in truth. That's why he is able to create this light of truth and take everyone out of this ignorance. always paras. That's why we can see him as the wisest and the holiest. Ravan, if Ravan is not there, it is holy. One who never had Ravan ever is holiest and highest. He uplifts everyone, so highest. We see in this world, his vision reminds us that we are like him. It reminds us. His part is this. Knowledge is, he just shows the truth. It is not a management technique. It just shows the truth that everyone, all are made in the image of God. All are like him because their form is like him. And if they are free from Ravan, then they are like him in virtues. Eternal and original truth of everyone is immensely beautiful. That's what he says. His vision reminds us that we belong to him. It is not just a yoga for a few minutes, but we are seeing that this is the eternal truth. We had forgotten, but now we are reminded. We realize this truth is beautiful and it is forever. Eternal truth. What we are experiencing is a celestial celebration. What happens in any celebration? It is a family celebration. In any celebration, there is sense of belonging, sense of respect, love, happiness. There is security. And so also here, this is an eternal celebration, but silent. There is no noise. So this is on one hand, it's a silent world, but at the same time, we are seeing the richness. It is made rich because of truth. That is what makes it powerful. We creating time to come in this, like right now, just experiencing this. That creates light. This eternal dimension exists. It is a timeless truth that exists. But if the attention is not there, then as if it pulls the attention of others also elsewhere. There is that power of attention. we said the power of the crowd. If everyone's attention is in the story or in some petty things in the story, the media, newspapers know the power of this, then everyone starts thinking of it. So here we are seeing, we are shining light on what is really important. Light means your attentions. You are saying there is this celestial celebration and truth and everyone's greatness and their richness and their home and father. You want to see it and you want to celebrate it. Just doing this, you are making it easy for the family of souls to see it. Just as, say, in your house, you want light, you turn the light on. That light is also there for others in the house. And even those outside, there, some light will all even go beyond the house. It is not just you in the light, but others also get light. So when you come in this light of truth, it creates light for others. And we are seeing it is precious, immensely precious, because at a time when everyone is unconscious and in that original diagnosis that we saw, this is like a life-giving medicine, lifeline, light of truth. Every minute we do this, it is worth congratulating ourselves. It is with the energy of fun and play. You are playing with truth and playing with silence and with light. Thank you. I'm happy if you got a plan to have rooms and maybe some poll and at some point. But any questions also?
So the rooms are ready, but if you'd like a question now.
Maybe later.
Later, yeah. Would you like to suggest a focus for the discussion?
What it means for us, power of truth and power of silence.
Excellent. So what does it mean to you? Power of truth, power of silence. We'll have around 10-15 minutes. So just a reminder, if you're new, also if you've joined before, if you're able to have the camera on, it creates a very nice way to meet each other. And if someone would like to take the initiative to coordinate, or if it happens naturally, that everyone has a chance to share if they would like to. We'll meet back again soon. Thank you. Let's take a minute for reflection and create some silence time.
फिर से स्वागत है।
Thank you. So just a note to Nicole for reassigning Hindi. And meanwhile, I'm going to welcome Belinda, who is joining from South Africa. And it'd be very nice to hear some reflections from you on this subject today.
Thank you, Sarah. It seems that the connection from here is a bit unstable because I was thrown out of the groups or I lost connection. But you can let me know if it's clear. So
Yes,
far,
it's
good. Okay.
So far, so good, but we'll let you know.
All right. So we had a very nice sharing in the group, and someone made the comment that it feels like this power of silence and power of truth is actually the same thing. And yeah, we all, I think, felt that was actually the right, that the power of truth brings with it the power of silence. And sometimes we get a sense of that from the dadis, and they can be quite entertaining, and yet they come from that place of truth. And so behind the entertainment is this deep sense of that silence. And then someone else shared that Prashant had spoken about what is normal and what is abnormal, and that when we're in Ravan's world, it feels so normal, and we didn't know that it was actually abnormal. And then when the soul begins to wake up, that is what feels so natural and normal. So it's nice to see how that normal is changing to the new normal. This morning's session was extremely helpful, and one of the first thoughts that came was the story of the tortoise and the hare. I think it's a common story in most cultures, and we know that it was the constancy of the tortoise that ultimately won the race, even though the hare was extremely fast. But it's such a good reminder that that constancy in effort, even if it is just moments of being fully conscious, that is what will bring the ultimate victory for the soul. And what helps us with that is our interest. Where does our interest actually lie? Of course, we know that ego is obsessed with the story and obsessed with Belinda. And so under the influence of ego, the interest is 100% in the story world. But the more we use paras and the more we see of that world of truth, the more it provokes the interest of the soul to know more about the father, the family, the home, and everything that we hear in the Murli is pointing to this extraordinary wonder of that subtle dimension, that alokik world. And so just to bring in the practice that will diminish the interest in the story and increase the interest in what is true. And that's how the game is won. That actually the world of truth has no comparison to the story world. The story is only valuable as a story, nothing else. And as the soul wakes up and it resonates with the truth, because it becomes more subtle itself, and that increase in the power of silence, and that pulls the soul just to go back again and again to what is becoming more and more normal and natural. Yeah, I think that was some of the thoughts from this morning. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Belinda. And facilities cooperated because it was very stable and I heard you well. And thank you for that. It made me think of, like, you know, when you're siphoning something, once you've got it going, it's natural. It's like one begets the other, you know, it's moving. And if I remember correctly, to start the siphoning process, you need a vacuum to pull. So it's like, I guess that maybe it's like when the drama is made small, it's like you sort of create that space, that vacuum, if you like, for the angel to take a breath, to come out. And this aspect that was brought of light and practice you mentioned of being familiar with the sky, and then it begets, you know, or remembrance begets remembrance, the silence. We want to come back. Soul naturally wants that experience. It's one image that came. Maybe someone can clarify how you siphon, but that's what I remember. So thank you very much, and for the comments that come in the chat, and feel free to share any insights or questions. And welcome back to Prashant. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to read a few lines, Baba speaking on the power of silence. With the methods of the power of silence, you will be able to take others beyond just with your vision. With your pure thoughts, you will be able to finish the waste thoughts of others. With your pure feelings, you will enable their feelings of love for the Father to emerge. Only when you make those souls content with the power of silence will they sing the praise of the souls of the Father. They will carry these sanskars with them. To stabilize your mind and intellect in a powerful stage means to experiment with silence and to be in solitude. If you concentrate on these practices for 1 minute, half a minute, then this stage for even 1 minute will give you and others a lot of benefit. You just need to practice this. Is it that you don't even have 1 minute? When you give it an importance, you will automatically create time. Some of the some of the words used by Baba in this context. Power of silence. And the word used is silence, but that dimension of silence, in that silence, if there is light, like your wishes will bring positive wishes in others and finish their waste thoughts. Because waste thoughts or sorrows, they come because of darkness. When you bring light, light finishes darkness. Straight fight between light and darkness, light wins. And as was said before, it is a nice experiment for us to see, to finish this darkness within us. But when you create light, it goes beyond you. You create light in the house, it goes beyond your house. Then experiment with this. It is like fun. How you can, at an individual level or global level, try both. It is like to know about it is nice, but then when you experiment, it is practical application of it. Happy if you want to any comments or questions, and then we are going to listen to some transmission, see video where Baba is speaking on some practices.
Thank you. One question. Since the world is so body conscious, how do you refrain from not feeding other people's egos while you're working on weakening your Ravan? For example, at work, you appreciate your co-workers, family, friends, and they may be looking for support or compliments, or you may be looking for feedback. People, situations, old habits, thoughts around you are constantly pulling you into the drama. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, sure. More you come to know the greatness of the soul, you see the greatness of your attention is not on the limited, your attention is on the subtle. That is most important, and that light is shining at another level. And deep inside, your importance is at another level. That will come across in your attitude, words maybe, but it is there. And intention is not there to feed their ego. It is not good for others to feed their Ravan. So you don't have the intention, that is enough. And this is very different to the way, if you read some books on positive thinking or how to win friends, they say, flatter other people, give compliments, be lavish in praise. They overtly say this with a good intention. They think they are creating positive, you are encouraging them. But when you see the bigger map, you are seeing that you are feeding ego in them. And it is down the line, there will be more problems. So our method is opposite. We should be a little cautious about praise. Give feedback, but stop there. Your aim is to nourish something else in them. Remember what the quote that was read earlier. Your words, you come into words only if they are more useful than silence. And otherwise silence can do more job than words.
hope that helps. Feel free to share in the chat, the one that asked the question. Another question, how does one avoid ego attachment while taking care of the body? Because this is also important for being soul conscious. We need, it helps to have a healthy body. Any thoughts?
We might be taking care of many things, like for example, right now we are using this computer, and I may be using a stick. We are dealing with many things, but we don't create an ego based on it. To use things to take care is one thing, and to create ego is another thing. So body is a good instrument, you are using it, but to know that ego comes not because you are using it. Ego is created for indulgence, completely different department. One can create ego based on dog, it can create ego based on car. It is not because you are using it, but it is a Ravan's indulgence.
Yes. Helpful. Why do we fluctuate during meditation? Do we need to visualize the star in the forehead all the time? Is this soul consciousness? You kind of answered it, but if you want to share.
Yeah, these are good questions and useful. We fluctuate because ego is threatened by your effort. You are literally changing the king in your inner system. Ego has been the king for a long time. And so you want to remove him and bring in the soul. So ego will try to push the soul out. So that will happen. Know that, but as we are saying, you create an environment of light, then it favors the soul. Soul becomes stronger. Environment of darkness, then ego is stronger. Just to visualize the soul is not enough. The visualization is, in Hindi we call it Atma Darshan. You see the soul, that is nice. But we have to be the soul. So that is another effort. Soul seeing this world. Soul has to become conscious. So the word used, Atma Smriti. The soul has to become conscious, and until then he was not even conscious.
Thank you. What are some of the outcomes of having attained the power of silence after making this leap from yoga to yogi?
What are the benefits? Is that a question?
Yeah, or outcomes was written here.
You are discovering the magic and the wonder. It, as we said, this dimension exists in a world of true family, true home, true father, and the true self. All of this exists. But as if it is shut down at present time. Ego doesn't want you to experience it. Ego is happy to create some meditation, music and meditation commentary of the home, but ego is still in charge. You are not seeing the magic and the wonder. So when the shift takes place, the soul wakes up and soul is seeing it. He sees the wonder of every aspect, including the self. Here we are talking about immortality. Here we are talking about God. We are talking about life without reason for sorrow. Every aspect, great family, loved by God, knowing God, not just belief in God or prayer to God. that wonder of the life, the truth. It is like a disproportionate. That's why the biggest lottery anyone can ever win. And it has repercussions everywhere else. We heard in the Murli, then the power of silence begins. That power exists in that truth.
Thank you. Something to reflect on. One comment here. Visualization or imagination, is it good during meditation?
Our aim is to experience, and when it is ego-based effort, it can only visualize or imagine helplessly. And as we said, it is a step, but that is not the destination. And by itself, it will not purify. But the necessary step for us is soul-based effort, not ego-based. For the soul, he can experience it. And it is natural for him to see it. It is a bit like, some chicken can imagine eagle, sky. It is imagining, but he has the option to use the wings and fly.
I think that's a really helpful analogy, because there might be some feelings there, but it doesn't actually take you there. So there are no more questions at the moment.
So we'll go for the transmission and the video.
And before we close and finish with the video, do you have some sort of invitation for something we can all reflect on before we meet tomorrow?
I might like to encourage you to write some of the important things that you felt important. Understand this, like these questions. What is the shift from ego-based effort to soul-based effort? Write some of these words and create time to experiment with it. It is like a game of a minute. And it is not after some years of staying as a chicken, imagining flying, he has to fly. He can use the wings today. Game is like that. Wings are there, we have to use them today. But 1 minute, that becomes easier, because 1 minute of quality takes you in the experience. So if you are thinking about some homework, I might emphasize a few of these things, to experiment and also to write down.
Thank you very much, and look forward to hearing from you tomorrow what your experiments were and how they went, and any realizations. So we'll create time now, 5 minutes. We'll watch Dada. It's like words spoken in that Paris perspective space, and then we'll share the details of the recordings on the chat. See you tomorrow.
मन बुद्धि संस्कार 3 अभी अभी अधिकारी की स्टेज पर स्थित हो जाओ।